Well, amid the backdrop of violent protests that have escalated across the country in recent days, former Vice President Joe Biden has launched a new attack against President Trump. During a visit to Battleground, Pennsylvania yesterday, Biden gave a blistering speech, accusing Trump of sowing chaos and division. In his remarks, Biden directly challenged Trump's claim that Americans won't be safe if Democrats win in November and condemned the recent violence seen in several U.S. cities.
I want to make it absolutely clear, something very clear about all of this. Rioting is not protesting. Looting is not protesting. Setting fires is not protesting. None of this is protesting. It's lawlessness, plain and simple. And those who do it should be prosecuted. You know me. You know my heart. You know my story, my family story. Ask yourself, do I look like a radical socialist with a soft spot for rioters? Really? I want a safe America, safe from COVID, safe from crime and looting, safe from racially motivated violence, safe from bad cops. Let me be crystal clear, safe from 4 more years of Donald Trump. But look, if Donald Trump wants to ask the question, who will keep you safer as president? Let's answer that question. First, some simple facts. When I was vice president, violent crime fell 15% in this country. We did it without chaos and disorder. This is a sitting president of the United States of America. He's supposed to be protecting this country, but instead he's rooting for chaos and violence. The simple truth is, Donald Trump failed to protect America. So now, he's trying to scare America. Donald Trump has been a toxic presence in our nation for 4 years, poisoning how we talk to one another, poisoning how we treat one another, poisoning the values this nation has always held dear, poisoning our very democracy. Now, in just a little over 60 days, we have a decision to make. Will we rid ourselves of this toxin? Or will we make a permanent part? We make it a permanent part of our nation's character.
You know, campaigns are all about contrast, especially when you're challenging somebody. The contrast between Joe Biden, decency exhibited there in that statement, and Donald Trump could not be more extreme, especially in these chaotic times.
Terrible times.
Yeah, terrible times. And Joe Biden also talked about how most cops were good cops. And when they put on that badge and went out at night, they were putting their lives on the line every single night. And he believed that he could bring people together and have police and protesters at the same table and work through police reforms. Kasie Hunt, despite the fact that Joe Biden has said repeatedly that he condemns the violence, you've had Trump supporters and people in the blogosphere and in Trump media saying that Joe Biden won't condemn the violence. He did it again yesterday in unambiguous terms. What do you think the impact is?
And you saw it right there. We just played it for everyone. I think the fact that Joe Biden went and made this speech shows, first of all, that he himself thought it was important from a moral perspective to make that argument. It also shows that they were feeling political pressure and an imperative to make sure that they were going out there and pushing back against this momentum that the Trump campaign has been feeling because of what we've been seeing. But I think this all comes down to what has become the central narrative of this race and the central problem for Donald Trump, which is that he keeps trying to convince Americans that Joe Biden isn't somebody that he obviously is. Americans have been living with Joe Biden as a public figure for 50 years, and that's why he can stand there on a stage and say, look at me, do I look like the kind of guy that thinks that this is okay? And have people actually believe him. And, you know, the question is, if you're the Trump campaign and you want to make this argument that I'm the law and order guy, it's going to be safer if I'm president of the United States, you have to actually be able to look people in the face and say, and have them think, Oh, yes. Things will definitely be calmer. The temperature will be reduced. Things will be more sane. I will feel safer and less on edge if Donald Trump is president of the United States. And, you know, I would submit to you that a lot of the people in those polls that we showed, those battleground polls, perhaps don't necessarily feel like the next 4 years will be calmer and more straightforward if President Trump is in the White House.
Well, and especially, Mika, if he is not discouraging violent activities, if he's encouraging people to go in at the middle of a hot zone and rile things up, that obviously causes a serious problem. And that's what Americans can see. I think most Americans look at Portland, most Americans look at Kenosha. They want law enforcement to step up and with the guidance of the mayors and the governors to clean things up in those streets and to stop the violence. They do not want the president of the United States having people drive in from other states with caravans to go around and shoot paint guns and spray gas, tear gas, or whatever they were spraying at the protesters, and make the situation even more volatile. That is the opposite of being a law and order president, and that is something that obviously is turning off voters.
Well, but the president may see it as his way of getting voters.
It doesn't work.
Well,
June the 1st didn't work. This is not going to work. Sowing chaos doesn't work. Saying that when the looting starts, the shooting starts doesn't work. Saying I have dogs that I'm going to release and they're going to cut through you like butter.
I know.
That doesn't work from a president. How long will it take the president to understand that churning up disorder for a nation already on edge? Not the answer.
how many people will get hurt and killed?
You know what Americans want? Simple. Coordinate with local officials. Ask what you can do, how you can help with the National Guard. And if they tell you that you shouldn't come because your presence will be disruptive at this point, you actually listen to them. It's just, the same thing happens from time to time with hurricanes where governors will say to presidents, Mr. President, thank you so much for being interested in this, but can you give us 4 or 5 days? Because we're still cleaning up on the ground right now. Things are pretty volatile. Come 4 or 5 days from now. And you know what? Presidents listen to that and they come later. This president wants to go into the middle of a situation because he's hoping to stir up even more unrest. Thanks for checking out MSNBC on YouTube, and make sure you subscribe to stay up to date on the day's biggest stories. And you can click on any of the videos around us to watch more from Morning Joe and MSNBC. Thanks so much for watching.